All right, well, there is new outrage in the Jussie Smollett controversy. The state's attorney, Foxx, is now being branded a liar by the former staffer she claimed advised her not to appoint a special prosecutor in the case. The former ethics officer said, quote, "My advice was that First Assistant Joseph Maggot seek the court's approval and request a special state's attorney appointment in this matter. The first assistant advised me that State's Attorney Foxx determined that the motion in order not be filed." So why didn't Foxx follow the alleged advice? Here to weigh in is former New Jersey County Prosecutor Bob Bianchi. So first of all, how unusual is it for a prosecutor not to take the advice of her ethics officer?
I led a prosecutorial agency for 6 years. They're there to protect you, to protect the integrity of your institution. And when an ethics officer says to you, you need to form this out to an independent state prosecutor because you're compromised, and that means the whole office is compromised because you're the leader, you do it. You do it if survival is even something that you want. You're licensed to practice law. So it's amazing to me, I gotta tell you, that she threw the mayor under the bus and the police chief under the bus, didn't even advise them prior to the press conference that these charges were being dismissed. All of us that have done real criminal trial practice as former prosecutors were like, yikes, what's going on with that? It was a slap on the wrist. And now, on top of that, she must have been a bus driver before she was a prosecutor, because now she's rolling over her chief ethics officer, who, unfortunately for her, has emails that show we recommended that you send it out to a state independent prosecutor. And in fact, I did the paperwork to file with the court. So, Ms. Foxx, you're lying. I've been outraged by this, and I think that a full investigation needs to occur, with not only with regard to whether this case should be reopened by Smollett, because he was treated with what I call the kiss, with kid gloves. We all know in the prosecutor world that this is a serious case. $130,000 of police resources could have been on the street. The town was in an uproar about homophobia and racism and the MAGA, attacks, all for his own personal aggrandizement, lying to officers repeatedly. This is a case a prosecutor salivates to make a point with a little jail time, and it gets dismissed. And yet other cases far less serious in Cook County, they're hammering those folks who aren't famous.
Well, you brought up a good point, which is that this isn't just her word against the Fox's word against the ethics officer. There's documentation. So now, does Foxx face any liability here in terms professionally, legally, now that we see that she actually didn't take that advice?
She needs to resign. I mean, I don't say this lightly.
Yeah, but she should resign. But is there anything legal that is she worried?
Yes. She, in my opinion, has committed an act of official misconduct, in my mind. Now, whether or not the investigators are going to find those facts to be true and proper criminal charges, or maybe even just ethics charges, it's clear that what went on here under her leadership, when she recused herself, yet she remained in the case, the judge rebuked her really bad, saying that she violated lots of rules. So at the end of the day, she could be facing legal challenges.
Could this have implications for Jussie's case as well, Jussie Smollett's?
Absolutely. You know what? There was just recently a case where a judge in Cook County said, wait a minute, you guys are prosecuting a low-level offender here on lying to the police who doesn't have a famous attorney, who doesn't have money, doesn't have fame, doesn't have popularity, and giving that person more than you would with Jussie Smollett? That's not right. And I would imagine that Smollett case is going to be reopened.
Right, and that's the real damage, right? The idea that in America that justice is blind and distributed equally. That's what really gets you, right?
Well, that's one of the biggest things. When I was prosecutor, I tried to make sure that everyone had what we call parity, that you basically can go into court whether or not you're a superstar or somebody on the lower levels, if you will, in the socioeconomic scale, and you were treated the same. If there are aggravating and mitigating factors to either make it go higher or lower, fine. But this case has all aggravating factors all over it. Then they dismiss it and seal the record so we can't find out. You knew that was going to be unsealed, and this is going to come to the full attention in a day or late. And I'm telling you, it's not a good look for Ms. Foxx.
Right. Well, it's a national story. You're on it. Thanks for all that inside information. A lot of us didn't understand some of the implications of it, as well as the fact that you've never seen someone not take the advice of their ethics officer. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.